guess they're not doing it. They're only doing it outside.
Recommended the next announcement that before stuff that's going on, even though it's an emotional time, one should still be very close and warm, without hugging or threatening people, because one really wants to protect everybody.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the Levaya. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.
Shapiro eating the Ito Violeo Iboil, because Yasi at Slia. Lechain Rishoim Kim Kamoitza Shit Fen Ruach, Kainley Kuma Rishon by Nishma the Katoin by Das Sadikim. Your day I didn't know there of Sadikim with their
people that are on it.
And I Skepotzi Yama, Kisisa Soda Kenyotis, Kiruach, Overboy, Menu, Mayakirenu Oid Nakomo. The Tessa Nabi Oilum, Yad Oilum of Urayob. This is because I was made bonim. Lu chachmu yaskilu zos yavino lachlisan kiloi v'moisa yikach hakoil v'yered akrab v'voidoi. Shemor tamu rei yashar ki akris l'ishkom odad in nefesh avoda v'yeshmo kol.
We want to do nephews.
Ayokor chas tefal yishom yadam b'tzel k'nefecha yechasoyum yerbion.
Yehuda must be there because this says Yehuda.
Yavo Shalom Yanuach on the Shtivoisam Hailech Mechoichai.
This is
This is now he's in Israel. He's going to speak from here.
What that Galway Bible the Shalom Yetzer, but safety trust in her. Malasu Taiva Rockol Yamechayeha. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. Kappa Parcel Leondi Yodea Shilko Lievyon. She stretches out her hand to the poor, noted by Sharon Bala, Yeshifto and Zikne Oretz. Her husband is known in the gates when she sitteth among the elders of the land. O's the Hado Levusha, but this got the Omakalon. She opens her mouth with wisdom and control kindness on her tongue. Here, plus the Chachma, the Soros Kesel, the Shaina. Sophia Lichos Beis of Lechamatzis, and Sochel, she told.
No, she couldn't because she'd have to come back and be in.
Her children rise up and call her blessed. Bible, the Halalah. Rabbis, Bonus, Sophia, many daughters have done valiantly. Biat Olis al Kolomet. Thou excellest. Sheker Achem Yofi. The woman that feareth the Lord, he shall be praised. Tenullah, Mufio Deha. Give her and let her works praise her in the gates. You come here to give the last honor, the covered achron of a person's life, a person who lived a long life and accomplished a great deal. Selma Reich, Cyril Bas Yisrael Halevi. She was a determined woman.
Yes,
a person who wasn't afraid to act on her beliefs. And it was difficult sometimes to know days when she was raising her children and tuition was a very big obstacle. She went out of her way and she
Elmont, I think she said it is.
Over
where is that?
Long Island, I think.
They were telling that was a
Yeah,
little
but
boy
where she has a place, but near her parents.
school that he was going to, and then 2 buses back. But that's the kind of person she was. She was Moshe, and after she gave of herself for her children. Told me another interesting story that when people during the Iraq War were leaving Israel because of the fear, she went to Israel. A person of great idealism. Skies were falling, and she came and stayed in Yerushalayim. This is a person who acted upon their beliefs. A person who certainly, in the Olam HaEmet, in the world of truth, will have a great deal of merit. The 2 sisters, Phyllis and Sonia, were here. Older brother Stephen, who I just met a moment ago, Deepa Tully, and Gidon, I understand, couldn't come because of the situation in Israel. She left a family, she left a legacy. Her in this past week's Sedra tells us about a very important person, the Tzalel Ben-Hur. The great master builder of the tabernacle in the desert was the Tzalel. And he was filled with chachma, with wisdom. He was able to build a tabernacle for all of the Jewish people. And it gives us lineage. It says Ben Uri Ben Hur, the son of Uri and the son of Hur. And the commentaries point out that the reason that it says Hur is because his grandfather perished at the terrible sin of the golden calf, trying to stop it from occurring. And only because the Jewish people had a golden calf were they required to build a tabernacle. Otherwise, everyone's home would have been a tabernacle unto themselves. So it says that the Tzalel Ben Uri Ben Hur, the one who stood up against the Jewish people, who made it necessary to build a tabernacle, he is the one that was good to build. He had the tremendous merit of building this tabernacle for the Jewish people. The question is an obvious one, is that he may have been the wrong person. He may have had resentment in his heart. He may have felt, my grandfather perished trying to stop what occurred. And only because of that was it necessary to build a tabernacle. Otherwise, every Jewish home would have had its own tabernacle. The answer, I believe, is that no, he was absolutely the right person. Because we have a general rule in Judaism, the Rahmano Liba Boy, where God wants our heart. And if it's Tzalel, whose grandfather suffered the consequence of the Jewish people going off their path, the grandson who's able to overcome that and realize the fault that the Jewish people had, and now it was necessary to build this tabernacle for the sake of God and for the sake of the Jewish people. His ability to overcome that, what made him the worthy one, the one that was capable of building this tabernacle for the Jewish people. So we see that many instances, Liba Boy, a heart. Selma was a person of heart who believed in things and acted upon it, not merely just to get by, but a person who had strong beliefs and built a family with those beliefs. You should be a Melissa Yosha for the entire family. When we come to a funeral, it's not an end, it's at the beginning, because her life in the world to come is now beginning. And with her marriage, with children, and everything that we do in life.
I tried to save you this time. Please be mindful of me. Be with me. I tried. I was there for you. Oh, my cousin Ruthie couldn't be your mother. Your mother was going to live forever. She wasn't going to die. She survived so much. Probably was mentioned while the studs were falling. I got a call from my brother. You have to speak to mom. She wants to go to Israel, rent an apartment in Jerusalem. She wants to sit there. Call her. Tell her she can't do it. I called her. She said, Adam, there's nothing to talk about. Cannot sit here in America. I have to be there. She went. She rented the apartment. She stayed there. no secret we're going through a very hard time now. Things are closing down in the midst of something none of us have ever seen in our lifetime. Schools are closing, businesses are closing. We feel as if life itself is closing in on us. You need the type of person who goes into a place where skies are falling to stand and go to the Kisei HaKavod, to go to God and self please. My mother was that type of person. She wasn't afraid to go to Israel while everybody was running away. She's not going to be afraid to go to God and say, God, please stop this. We don't need this. We've been through so much. And all the Holocaust survivors that are now dying off, they should go in front of God and say, God, please have mercy on his people. Please stop this plague from going any further. The Talmud says that children are also called builders. From it's mentioned, my mother built children who were builders. In 1966, my older brother Steve, went to Israel and spent a year. In 1967, the Six-Day War broke out. He had come back already. My brother Steve went. They banned flights for the first 4 days of the war. My brother Steve went and slept at the airport for the first 4 days till he was out on the first flight back to Israel. In the middle of the Six-Day War. Our whole family was there. Our whole family stayed in Kennedy Airport. And we applauded, and we stayed there. We took off on the only flight that was allowed to Israel during the war. First flight.
Banned flights for the first 4 days of the war. My brother Steve went and slept at the airport for the first 4 days. He was out on the first.
My brother Gideon, we all went to high school, to Yeshiva High School. My brother Gideon said, no, I'm not going to go learn here. I'm going to learn in Israel. At 14 years old, he picked himself up. It wasn't a popular thing to do. And he said, I want to learn in Yeshiva in Israel. And he went. And he stayed there and he never came back. Learned through there. He went to the army there. And that was the type of legacy that my mother put into us. My sister, with all her friends, her army of friends, helped my mother, especially very much in the last few weeks that she suffered. And the type of person my sister is, the type of Ahavas Yisrael that she has, and how she spends time with people and helps people 24/7. That was my mother's legacy to her. My mother was a friend to everybody. She helped me personally through a lot. She taught me personally how to act. Miles, years behind all the modern psychology and how to raise children. I hope and pray that my own children should maintain that legacy. Include that in his family, Rachi, her family, Rachel Esther, Analiva. My wife helped my mother so much over the years, helped us all, does so much for everybody. Also part of that legacy. My brother-in-law, Binyamin, all the children that helped over the years. So much. Bobby loved all of you. And the contingent in Eretz Yisrael that Bobby was there by many of the simplest, the pictures were passed around today. Kane Yerbu, wonderful family that my brother Gidon and his wife Deborah have built there. The legacy that they have built, settling Eretz Yisrael. Perhaps we'll hear from my brother soon also. Frauenwitz mentioned that my mother took 2 buses to take me to nursery school in 1961. Not true. Totally not true. My mother got up in the morning, every morning for 2 years. She took 2 buses to take me to nursery school. She took 2 buses back. She took 2 buses in the afternoon to come pick me up and 2 buses back with me. She took 8 buses every day for 2 years to take me to a nursery school where I can learn Torah. Every word of Torah that I and my son learn every day, and that every whole family and every here in Israel and everyone is dedicated to my mother, and it's because of my mother. 8 buses, 8 city buses a day. Dad was always so proud of our relationship, our gifts from the Maharal. The Maharal says that 7 represents this world, our living in this world. We have 7 days and then we have Shabbos. 7 is this world. 8, the next world. 8 buses escort you out the next world to Allah and help you. Think should go easy for you. Should be a issue for everybody. I love you. Jonathan, Stephen. And I'm Stephen. I guess the exception of my dear Aunt Phyllis, I have the longest relationship with my mother, Selma, here. 72 years now. And I was very fortunate to have seen her 2 weeks ago while we could still speak, while we could still communicate and say our goodbyes and exchange our love one final time. And I'm very grateful for that. I can't tell you how much, how important that is. I will only add to what the rabbi and my older brother, my brother Adam has said about our mother. That she was a religious person. She was a spiritual person. I will add also that she was an educated person in the civic culture. She was not only a good Jew, but she was a good American. She cared about people, rights, and instilled in us all of those important things which are still part of us today. She instilled in us the importance of education and led by example at a time when it was not that common for women to get higher education. She got higher education and then graduate education, and was a social worker and also a teacher for many years. My mother was a person, as you know, as you've heard, who was determined. She walked the talk at a time when that was not easy. Led the way and showed us all of her children, all 4 of her children, how important education is, how important it is to be engaged with your people and with America and with America's ideals. And for that, I'll always be grateful. One final thing, thank you again to my brothers and especially my sister and brother-in-law for helping so much and working together so well, not just over these last days and weeks, but over these last years and even decades, to support Mom, to help Mom, to make Mom's life and her last years worthwhile and meaningful. And again, I appreciate everything that was done for her by my siblings and also Tyler, my brother-in-law, and I appreciate all of you coming here
Eva?
The oldest grandson,
Aviva?
Yehuda.
All right. Just say a couple of words. It's hard to imagine when we're growing up that you'll one day be here with your grandmother burying her. As a kid, you're living life. You're a child. You don't really have control. You just deal with what's put in front of you. I see with my children, they wake up in the morning, give them breakfast, we give them food, we play with them, we bring them to school. And I think it's only as you get older where you start to realize that things don't last forever. And I think when things like this happen when people pass on, it's a sobering thought. And it has to remind us all, how to appreciate the time that we have with the people that are still with us. And how to, just a few months ago, Uncle Walter passed away. Also, who would think that Uncle Walter wouldn't be alive? I have so many memories. We all have so many memories of Bobby, the family functions, coming to the house for Hanukkah, for different, Yom Tovim and holidays. And, we all have such beautiful memories. And, obviously, my memories are relatively short compared to some of yours. But they were beautiful, and they were special, and we all loved the time that we spent together with Bobby. Both when she lived in New York, I remember going to her house, watching the train, right, in the back, reading her books. Collection of different tchotchkes. I don't know if you remember in her house. Israel made out of olive wood.
Yeah.
Remember? I used to go check the box to see if there was a new one every time we came back. Maybe something else in there. So we really had wonderful times together that we spent together. And I'm really grateful for those times. And now, I think it's first of all, also I want to add also just as Uncle Steve mentioned, I learned a lot from my parents and my aunts and uncles, also from seeing how they helped Bobby throughout the years. And you can see, I think that somebody's legacy, as was mentioned, is really in their children, and the product, their children are their byproduct of who they are. And I think that was a really important lesson for all of us. And we should also just learn to appreciate the time that we have with the family that we have, because nothing lasts forever. And this is who we have. We have our family, and I want us all to, from here on out, obviously cherish the memories and to build more of them. If you could speak. You don't hear there? You don't hear there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Faintly. Hold on. Let's make it louder. Okay, hold on. Okay, go.
If anybody, can you hear me now well?
Yeah. Loud.
Okay, I hope that everybody can hear me while keeping the social distancing. That is the mitzvah hayom. Just 1 second. I've been living in it. I've been living in Israel now for 3/4 of my life. And that Steve before mentioned how he's been with Mom for his entire life. And when he said 72 years, not to think about how long he's been living, but how much longer my own mom has been living. It's just something that is hard to for me, it's very hard to fathom that my mother is my connection to generations and generations before us. She made this connection to us, and that connection is now no more. There are still people in her generation. There's still some people who are older than 94 years old.
Uncle, get on.
Yeah.
Could you hold the thought for like a few minutes? They need us to yeah.
They have to bury her now because they're going on lunch, the workers.
So let me just say, Diana Emet, and do Kriya. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Diana Emet.
Amen.
Amen.
No, I'm going to talk after. Let him see. He's put it the other way.
Eser kinafav yalanim yitzor b'tzrayim es nishmasa adinai v'nachmasa v'sanu b'shalom v'mishkava v'naymar amen. We'll stop 7 times.
You want gloves? You should have gloves. Head first. The head is here. Hi, you want gloves? Hi. Hi, you want gloves? Do you want gloves?
Stop. Right to the same field, you understand? One more stop. Right to the same field, you understand?
They put the head in first or the front? I mean,
Obviously, we got to do the tree, right? Not on the mouth. Hold it lower. More. Grab it. You want to do the tree? This one here, right? That goes to this Just turn the head there. Just turn the whole cap. Stop for a second. Down along. In the middle with that. Now walk up a little closer. Get on there closer. No. Come a little closer. Down. Put one leg. Put one foot on top of that. There you go. And we're gonna slide it up. Just get the center in the middle. We'll just gonna slide it up there. Pick it up. Slide. On the lumber, not on the. Keep going. Okay, let's go. Okay, right there. Don't stand on your earth, sir. Don't stand on your earth. Stay up. On the lumber. And take out this middle lumber. 1, 2, 3. Take it out. Sir, watch yourself. Take it out. Hand it to me. Slide it over to me. Now, like 4 people. Get off the lumber. On the lumber. Cross the line. I need one more here. Don't mess around there. Only on the one, make it slow. Only on the one. Get more rope. Get more rope. Get more rope. Not around there. Not around there.
No, don't put it on. Yeah.
Take some slack. Take some slack. Over there. Take more. Take more. You release your rope.
All right.
Hold your hands lower. Don't bend. Stay straight. Don't curl it up. Don't curl it. Hand over here. Hand over hands up low. Stop low. Yeah, when I count, that's it. And drop it slow. 1, 2, 3, up. Lower it together. 1. Go. Just lower down. Let the foot down first. That's it.
They're good. They're good.
Down. Drop your side. This side, drop the rope. Drop. And you go.
Oh, baby, please.
We'll take the shovels, son.
I'll strap them.
Let's take the shovels, and not supposed to pass the shovels to each other, just leave it in the ground. And people should have the source of.
Yeah.
Just wanted to watch on this and call. Doesn't have WhatsApp. Go tell him quick. So give me your phone. Ask her what time was. What? You hold it, just hold it. No. Can I just text him to her? What? Just text him to her. Aviva?
This is live. This is live.
Huh? She's here. Who's the fuck?
I'm going to start the video once again because I'm running out of time here. So please,
Wait. Shh, don't talk. Put it on mute.